Okay, so episode 6 of Road to 25K in 7 days. So, quick update overall, we spent $15,800 in total. I checked the CRM, we've got 2,242 or 2,424, sorry. 2,424 leads. I think overall our lead cost right now is just over $6 for the entire campaign, which is over the KPI we wanted. We wanted to try and get the overall lead cost to be around $5. Realistically, right now, with everything that the data that we got back, probably not going to happen. But that happens when you try and spend such a huge amount so quickly, straight from the off in 7 days. We'll still be super profitable with that. So I know the campaign's going to do well. But ideally, we just wanted to push ourselves and get the $5 limit. But it is what it is. So it's not too bad. Anyway, so you can see here, these are some of our ABO campaigns that we initially launched and test. And you can see overall for these campaigns, they're doing pretty well, right? They've got a lot of leads for under $5. But obviously, when you just scale so quickly, and if we move up the scale here, we're going into our CBO campaigns, and you might be able to see it on the left-hand side here. You can see some of these are our CBO campaigns. You can see where the cost per lead basically is getting a bit higher, which again is to be expected. We made the decision yesterday to take off all the cost cap from the campaigns. So initially we had cost caps of $5 and $6. So it wouldn't spend if it weren't getting leads for those amounts. However, it was just restricting the spend too much. I suppose we're targeting too many of the same audiences with too much budget at one time. And it just made the auction maybe too expensive. Either way, we decided to remove the cost cap and basically just manually monitor the CBOs much more. Now, here's the thing with a CBO. The goal isn't to just launch the CBO and for it to work perfectly straight away. That is the goal, but in reality, that doesn't happen. What typically we do is we pick from our testing campaigns, our ABO campaigns, we pick 3 to 4 of the best ad sets, duplicate them into a CBO, let that CBO run for 24 hours. After 24 hours, we analyze the data and we start cutting stuff that isn't working. So the overall cost per lead isn't going to be great in the beginning. So you can see this one here. It's a $200 cost daily budget, and you can see it's spent just over 200. So right now is where we basically go in and start turning stuff off. And you can see here this morning, we already decided to take this stuff off, take this campaign off. So if we go in here, you'll be able to see that it was getting leads for $9. So we took it off. Now, obviously, since we made that change this morning, some of the other stuff has happened. So this is slightly getting more expensive. But you can see we can turn this one off. And we could maybe leave this on, see if it's going to get a bit cheaper. But obviously the ad set that's working the most is this one. So the goal really is, and I'll probably turn that middle one off in a second here. The goal is you're going to launch a CBO, you're going to spend a bit of money, the cost per lead isn't going to be optimized. But the idea is to find one good ad set or just a couple of good ads that get the lead cost within KPI. And then within the first 24 to 48 hours, turn off the stuff that isn't working, and then it will begin to optimize. So ideally for this campaign, if it was evergreen, we would let this run for longer, and then we would finally, say, for example, settle on just having this set active in the CBO. And, if it scales at $200 a day with cost per lead at $6, then it's a pretty good result. Obviously, because we're in a live launch, again, it's the balance of spending as much as your budget within the last 48 hours as possible, but also trying to get a good lead cost, which is why this isn't optimal, and that's just the negative of having a live launch. The positive of having a live launch is that the conversions are usually higher, right? And you can see here that some of the CBOs that we launched just weren't doing it for us, so we just decided to just turn them off and be like, you know what, we'll just cut it as a loss. But you can see, again, some of this stuff here. This one, for example, a high, let's go for this one. So 20 leads, It's spent over the daily budget. It's cost per lead of $13, which is high overall for the campaign. But you go in and you can see we've already started turning stuff off. So we turn this one off, and you can see that this one will probably be the one that's left on. So it's a process of elimination where you're going to start with your cost per lead is going to be higher, but because you're spending so much so quickly, the idea is that the Facebook is going to find at least one or two ads within the whole campaign that are working, and then you can strip the fat and just let the muscle run. So that's essentially what we were doing here with the CBOs. Now, to further basically optimize and spend further, because right now we've got $9,000 to spend, and we're about a day and a half because I'm in Cape Town, so I think it's like maybe like 9-ish hours ahead of PST, and the challenge starts on Friday morning at 9 a.m. PST. So we're about a day and a half away. Right now, the daily budget on this campaign on active ads is 7.9K. So in the next 24 hours, we will spend 7.9K, and then we have the rest of the budget to run Friday morning. So realistically, we are definitely going to hit the budget spend. Obviously, the cost per lead is just going to be a bit higher than what we initially wanted, but at the end of the day, the whole campaign is still below, $7. Hopefully, if we cut some of the losers today, we can get the whole campaign to be below $6. That would be right now a good scenario for us. But hey, you spend 25K in 7 days. Again, most people would struggle to get leads for less than $20. So it is what it is. We set ourselves high targets. We might not hit it, but overall, the results are going to be pretty good. Now, to get up to that 7.9K, we still need to launch some more ads this morning and to launch some more CBOs. So basically what we did was, there we go, sorry. So I filtered on the CBO campaigns now. And basically what we did, we were looking at some of the stuff that, and the reason why this is off, by the way, is because it was a warm retargeting. It was basically targeting the warm audience, and it was getting an okay cost per lead, but the frequency was going over 2, and we don't want to retarget the followers too much. So we kind of just left it, and we're just focusing on the cold campaigns. So basically, we're looking at the stuff that was working down here, and it's like, how do we optimize this further? So we're looking at this. You can see it spent 200. It spent like 700. Sorry. So this is like fully optimized. So the way we scale even further to get up to that 7.9K a day spend is to basically take the CBOs and look at what is working inside on the data, and then optimize further. So this is like if you want to go to like hyperscale. So you might be able to see here, I will cut some of this off just to hide the anonymous of the account. But you could see probably on the left-hand side here, we've got like Facebook feed, we've got different age ranges, we've got mobile. So we're basically looking at a CBO, looking at the breakdown of the data. Where are all the clicks coming from? Like, where are the cheap clicks coming from? Or where is like a super good high volume of clicks coming from for a good price? And then we duplicate that CBO and set that metric. So for example, this example here, we looked at the original CBO and we saw that a lot of the cheap traffic was coming from mobile. So we actually duplicated the CBO and set all the ad sets to target mobile only. Here, same thing, we targeted females. Here, same thing, we targeted ages 45 to 54. 35 to 44 Facebook feed. So that's how you super optimize further. It's not necessary. Again, if it was like an evergreen campaign, we probably wouldn't have to do that. We would let the original CBOs run and spend more money. But now, because we're trying to spend so much, we need to try and launch more CBOs, and we need to create differences in the CBOs. Because the thing is when you set up a campaign, you set up your targeting inside of the ad set, there is obviously a pool, there is the audience size, which is let's just say, for example, it's 1 million. Now, when you set your targeting, Facebook realistically, it's not going to show it to all of those millions of people. It's not going to show it to all 1 million of those. It's going to basically pick a pool of people that it thinks will convert. So what we do to try and reach all of that million, we duplicate the CBO, we target the same demographics, but we tweak it a tiny bit. So an example of that would be feed. An example of that would be mobile only. An example of that would even be changing the conversion from like lead to add to cart or something like that. Again, that's not my favorite one, but it's about making small tweaks inside of the ad set to target that full 1 million audience. So again, if you've got 1 million audience, maybe we'll do a female only, maybe we'll do a male only, Facebook feed only. We'll start mixing up the age ranges just so we can try and target the entire pool of people and not just rely on Facebook to try and select the pool for us. So that's essentially the tactic. Now, like I'm just filtered on the CBOs here. But like I said, we've spent about 16 grand so far, 9K. We're easily going to hit it. The plan will be, though, for looking at these CBOs, this one, for example, it's only spent 138, so it's been live for less than 24 hours. So I typically don't touch one, but at the end of the day, like if it's so far out of KPI, so soon to the launch, I'm probably going to turn it off. And that's exactly what we did here. And, again, if we go in here, this has spent just over 200. So you can see here that we're trying to optimize further. Realistically, this probably is not going to work, this CBO. So we could probably turn this one off as well. We turned this one off because it wasn't performing. And then since it's got the new budget, this one hasn't really been working too well. So realistically now, I'm probably maybe leave it another hour, but this one is probably going to get turned off. So we will launch some more CBOs, but now it's all about basically, we've kind of tested all we can test. And now it's more about looking at what's working, trimming down the fat. So then at least for the last 24 hours, we're launching with like really good CBO KPIs. So again, average lead cost right now is over $6. I wanted $5. I want to get it below $6. The way we're going to do that is having a nice good run for the last 24 hours. I'm really just spending most of our budget on stuff that is proven to work. So again, if over the next 12 hours of today, so we've got like directly 24 hours before the launch, I'll probably end up turning off all of these CBOs at the top here, as long as the ad sets are also out of KPI, and then kind of leave the bottom half just to run then to spend the entire budget. So if we spend what we're predicted to spend right now inside the ad account, we will actually come over budget, which is good because then you just want to trim the fat and leave the muscle for the last 24 hours.